It seems it is so effective, but on the same time, majority of people who die are fully vaccinated. This is a very common statistical bias called the base rate fallacy. So the base rate fallacy says basically that you have to look at the entire population before you look at specific segments. To make it simple for you, 80 plus, if you remember the early days of COVID, people who are older get much better priority in being vaccinated, right? So when we go back to this table, 70 to 79 and 80 plus people are most of them are already vaccinated. So having them dying, it doesn't mean they died because of the vaccination. It means that the entire population is vaccinated and they are dying for many other reasons. So this is very common fallacy where you say 94% of those people are vaccinated. So what is the likelihood of someone dying out of them? It's very high. This is very similar, to make it simple for you, it's very similar to send, for your company to send a survey to your most loyal customers and ask them, what do you think about us? This is a base rate fallacy, because most of them will say your service is amazing. So this is a base rate fallacy. You are bringing one segment, analyzing that segment, and ignoring the entire population, which is people who don't like you, people who didn't apply for your services, etc. And this is very common, and actually, this is very funny one that I really like. It says, remember, right-handed people commit 90% of all base rate errors. Why is that? Because 90% of humans are right-handed. So it says nothing about this. It says something about the entire population. So this is the first fallacy that actually, if you look at the exact same table that this guy was showing, it seems that vaccine is very effective. Now, I don't want to make any argument with you, because I know some people do not believe vaccines are effective. I don't want to make the argument, is it effective or not? What I'm saying is this data doesn't say vaccines are not effective like what this guy was doing. And actually, because of his video, this video went really viral in 2021, and it convinced many people not to take vaccines, which I think is a very sad story. So this is one example. I want to give you another example of another common fallacy that we always say. And this goes to the 70s in the US, in Berkeley University, where there was a study published saying that being a female means you have a lower likelihood of being accepted in college. So this study says that universities in the US are biased against females. Let's look at the data. So the data looks like this. They collected information about 13,000 applicants, 8,000 are males, 4,000 are females, and the data looks like this. This is the admission or acceptance rate. This is the percent of women applicants. So it seems as if there is more women, the acceptance will drop. So this confirms the hypothesis, right? Let's look at more data. So the average acceptance rate for females is around 35%. The average acceptance for males is 45%. I think the evidence is clear, right? I'm not sure. Let's look more at the data. So let's break this average by department. And you will see, this one says, the investigation showed that males were 1.8 times more likely to admit to the graduate school than females. And the data seems solid. Let's break this down by department. So this is Department A, Department B. They didn't try the name of the departments for privacy, etc. But for Department A, actually more females are accepted. For Department B, more females are accepted. For Department C, it's more males. For Department D, it's more females. For Department E, it's more males. For Department F, it's more females. So the picture doesn't look that bad. But it's really different from what we saw here. So what is going on? This is also another very common fallacy called the Simpson paradox. You probably heard that name a lot. It's quite common. And that means basically that when you look at the bigger picture, just imagine your overall conversion rate on the website. When you look at the overall average, it might tell you a very wrong story from what happens if you start segmenting this by country, by audience, by channel, etc. And why is that happening? I will give you a very simple example. Let's say you are a publisher and you want to publish a new book. Should you increase the number of pages or decrease it? Which one would have better sales? Would it be better for the audience, and you are the audience, is it better to have a bigger book or a smaller book? Let's look at the data. The data says if you have more pages, you will have less sales. The data is clear, right? No, it's not. It's actually the opposite. So if we break this down by the type of the book, we see a completely different picture. This is the exact same data. These are paperback books, these light books, and these are hardcover books. And actually, in every single category, if you have more pages, you sell more. So how is it possible? It is just a statistical artifact called the Simpson paradox. And now, if we look at here at every single or most of the departments, females are actually accepted more than males. But why do we see this bias? Do you see anything interesting in this table? So these are the departments. These are the number of applicants, those who are admitted for males and females. Do you see any interesting thing in the numbers? Actually, the secret of this fallacy lies here, in those two numbers and those two numbers. So it seems that females apply more for departments where there's a higher likelihood of being rejected, or it would favor these type of things. Like for this one, for example, 82% were accepted, 68% are accepted, so it's majority, but this ones are the lowest. And compare the numbers here. So the conclusion was that this is not a bias. This needs to be studied in which type of applications females tend to apply for. Again, I'm not making the conclusion if the universities are biased against women. I don't know. I'm not a woman. I did not experience this. But does this data say there is a bias? No, it doesn't. Let me show you another fallacy. So when you look at this one, you need to be really careful. Every time you look at the global average, the overall average, you really need to be careful and look beyond the total numbers, because the story could be completely different. And every time myself at work, I see a report where it says overall conversion rate, I say, thank you, skip this slide. What is going on? Tell me more. Give me a segment by something.